Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Women, a podcast that provides a platform for women of all walks of life to share their upbringings, life lessons learned, experiences, and journeys to come. Uncommon Women speaks on topics that can relate to all women. We share, we listen, we laugh, we cry, and we empower each other to be the best uncommon woman that they can be. Ultimately, we are cultivating a global movement of women supporting women. Women supporting entrepreneurship, relationships, self-love, and so much more. We inspire each other to make an impact on this world for the better. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Uncommon Women. Now, finally, grab a seat, get comfortable, and hear from your wonderful hosts, Shanira and Jenny Lee. Hi, kings and queens. Thank you so much for tuning in to Uncommon Women. I'm Shanira.
And I'm Jenny Lee.
And today we have an amazing guest speaker that's going to come on with us by the name of Rashida. She's going to be giving us some insights on the value and benefits of mentoring the youth and why it's so important that as a community, as parents, and as friends, that we can help these young adults transition into what they went through, or if they haven't even went through, just guiding them through the necessary steps to be able to prosper in life. So as I bring her on, Jenny Lee is going to give a little bio in regards to Rashida.
Rasheda K. Williams is a mentoring consultant and author and chief empowering officer for Empowered Flower Girl, a social enterprise on a mission to transform the way young people relate to one another. Rasheda's passion and accuracy has helped lead Empowered Flower Girl to gain recognition from Kuman's North America's Impact Award to Saatchi's Top 10 Companies for Women and Girls. Her name also being mentioned 29 inspirational female entrepreneurs who are positively impacting the world and more.
Thank you, ladies. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for that lovely introduction. I feel truly blessed to be able to connect with so many amazing women around the country and around the world, frankly. And you two are no exception. You are just amazing, and I'm proud of what you're doing. So I thought I should state that off rip. I love, giving credit where credit is due, and I thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it. So before we get into the good tea today, we also like to ask our guest speakers, the transition of where they're at now, how it all started. So before we get into that, just tell us a little bit about yourself and, how was your life growing up?
Well, that is a question that I definitely think is important for anyone who wants to share their story and who wants to make an impact. And I think that oftentimes we don't value our stories, or maybe sometimes we have a fear of sharing them. But I want to encourage everyone to share their story, because it can definitely have an impact for someone. I mean, growing up, I lived in Detroit in a pretty tough neighborhood. I grew up on the east side of Detroit in a couple of the most dangerous, in fact, zip codes in the city. But the thing about the neighborhood that I grew up in is that it was a community. It was a close-knit community. I'm a bit older than you ladies, and I grew up in the 80s. And I'll tell you what, it was a little tough, in the inner city growing up. But we had a close community that was connected, and it was basically like a village was raising you. Like literally, I had neighbors who would check in on me, or after school, if my mom hadn't made it home from work, we just go over to the neighbor's house. So there was always someone in the community looking out for us. And I will say that growing up, life was pretty easy, except when it came time to get to middle school. Okay, middle school was its own set of challenges. That's where I experienced the most drama, the most trauma, and some of the most challenging years of my life is when I transitioned from elementary to middle school. Elementary school was great. I had awesome friends, amazing teachers. And then once I got to 6th grade, and especially in 7th grade, I was teased, bullied, harassed, excluded almost daily by my peers. And that really shaped who I became. Um, at first, it seemed like it was shaping me negatively, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling the isolation. I was feeling down and out some days. Some days I didn't even want to go to school. I didn't tell my mom about the teasing and bullying and harassment. I was a victim of what is called intra-racial bullying,
Okay.
meaning that I was bullied by other students who looked like me, those who were African American or identified as Black. I was teased and bullied by them. I went to a school that was about, I would say, about 85% African American, but I was called white girl. I was called wannabe, Oreo. They said I talked white. They said I was weird. The music that I listened to was for white people, and I got harassed like this daily, and that really started to impact my self-esteem. But I had a teacher who really cared about me. I was writing in my journal, and I think that she gave us that assignment to write in our journals to, make sure we had proper sentence structure, right? She was an English teacher. She was really down to earth. She was a little different herself. She was like an Afrocentric white lady, right? But let me tell you, she was cool. Everyone loved her. Mrs. Patty was her name, and she was really cool. She had like this fro. And
she was down to earth.
Yeah, she was, like, she was for the people, man. I was like, were you part of the Black Panther Party? But yeah, she was definitely an ally to the community. But she was,
awesome.
Yeah, she was amazing. And she had us write about our daily experiences in our journals, and I wrote about the teasing and bullying and harassing that I was experiencing. And I didn't think that she would actually respond, but she started responding and writing notes to me that really changed my life. And it really made me want to stand up for others, stand up for myself, but also stand up for others, because far too often it's the bystanders, right? The people that are on the sidelines that don't stand up for you. Majority of people fall into that category.
Right.
Well, most people aren't bullies. Most people, most kids are not the mean kids, right? But sometimes they just don't have the power or even the courage or even the tools to stand up. But Miss Patty, she equipped me with that. And, I'm so thankful to her and to the other adults in my life who stepped in and stepped up for me. And that's why I'm so passionate about mentoring and empowering young people so that they can give back and make a difference.
Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing. With you experiencing, the colorism, was there ever a part in your life where you just felt like you wanted to give up, or any suicidal or thoughts like that prior to Miss Patty, encouraging you and assisting you in a positive way?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting. I didn't quite experience what would be traditional colorism. There were students in the class who were teased and bullied for being too light or too dark. I was right in the middle, so I got to see both sides of it. I got to see how the dark-skinned kids were treated and called names and shunned. But I also got to see how, light-skinned kids also were called white. They were called white for different reasons, right? But still, it is very hurtful to have people in your own community, people who look like you, to call you these names. And it was very hurtful to me because, when I was in middle school, I was just really trying to get good grades. I honestly thought I was cool, to be honest. Okay. Yes, I may have listened to some music that some of the other students really didn't like. I like New Kids on the Block and Nirvana. I was into grunge. I went through my grunge phase. I like Vivaldi and Beethoven and, as well as hip hop.
Right.
So I was pretty eclectic, and some of the kids, they just didn't like that. They thought I was
weren't a follower. That's what it was.
That's right.
You weren't a follower. You were unique, your own person.
Exactly. And so it bothered me because even in middle school, I was an aspiring journalist and public speaker. I would enter oratorical contests. I would write for the school newsletter. So I said, I can't be slacking on my grammar. So calling me white girl and saying I talk white or are you too proper? For me, I thought, well, why is this a bad thing? It's not talking white. I'm speaking proper English.
Proper, right?
Right. English is the official language, and this is what we speak. I don't get it. However, I had to definitely connect myself with other students who were experiencing some of the same drama and challenges. So I really found myself gravitating toward the other students who were kind of the outcasts and the other students who were teased and bullied, the ones who identified as LGBTQ, other students who were immigrants. We had a huge immigrant population of Arab as well as Asian students in our school. So I became friends with them. The other nerds, I became friends with the other Black nerds in my school, and we united, and we had a strong support system after that. So I think definitely having a good support system can help you, especially young people. Just having someone who has your back. Even if you're both weirdos, and it's okay. I say embrace your weirdness. Find a good vibe tribe to embrace your weirdness.
I think we all need that one person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that, but no, that was basically, in a nutshell, kind of, how I grew up and what shaped me into being, who I am today and why I do what I do.
So let's go into that. Speak on the details of the Empowered Flower Girls, how that all came about.
So it was probably about 15, well, maybe more than 15 years ago that I started mentoring girls and young women. I was experiencing some drama in college. What I didn't share about my childhood was that although my mom and I are very close now, I love my mom. She and I are like this. But growing up, my mom was having some challenges, and she was going through her own, own drama, and things were a little unstable for her. So at 12 years old, I went to live with my aunt and her husband. So they took me in, and they raised me up until my college years. And I'm forever grateful to them. I kind of have an affinity and a passion for helping young people and encouraging mentors for young people who are in or aging out of the foster care system. Because although I was not in foster care, I was still raised by individuals outside of my home.
Right.
So I could kind of identify with some of their experiences. But during that time when I was growing up, I was very close to my aunt and uncle, and they were like my parents. But when I was just starting college, my aunt passed away of cancer. And that was pretty devastating for me. I found her there in the house. She had passed away at the house, and my uncle, who was a little older than her, he was actually a senior citizen. He was devastated as well, and he thought that I would leave and not take care of him or help him, and I had to reassure him that I would. But the pain of losing her was just entirely too much for him. And one day in college, I came home from a dance recital, and he told me that he wanted to die. This was my first experience with suicide or suicide attempt. My uncle, who was a senior citizen, my uncle was 70, what was he, 70 years old at the time? 70 or 71 years old. He threatened to kill himself there in front of me. He told me to leave the room so he can take care of it. And that was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. something that I will never forget, something that was painful. My uncle, unfortunately, did shoot himself, but he did not lose his life at that moment. He survived the gunshot wound. Um, he lived for about 7 months after it.
Wow.
Yeah. But at that time, I was a college student and I was working to keep my scholarships. I was working on, having a high GPA. I was going through a lot. It was very challenging for me, but I was determined to get through it. So I said, you know what? Everyone, how everyone deals with mourning. They deal with their pain differently.
Right, differently.
Yeah, some people get, extra involved in their work and their school, and that's what I became. I think I may have overdid it, but I became so focused on school and doing something to get out of my depression and my sadness. I saw an ad in the newspaper for mentors, and I thought, maybe I could do this. Maybe this could take away some of this drama that I'm experiencing. Maybe if I'm focused on someone else, maybe I won't have to deal with the pain that I'm feeling. Maybe I can help someone else. And then ultimately, I was thinking maybe forget about what was going on. You never really forget, right? But I signed up to become a mentor, and that really changed my life. That transformed my beliefs about myself and my abilities, and I had something greater to live for. And becoming a mentor, I always tell people it truly saved my life. And that experience is what led me to launch Empowered Flower Girl, just working with girls and young women for several years, being a one-on-one mentor to girls ages 5 to 17 years old, and seeing some of the struggles that they were having with classmates, with their friends, and just living above the societal pressure. And I also had 3 teenage nieces at the time. So I really wanted to support and help them the best way I could. And that is how I came up with Empowered Flower Girl in 2010. So last year we celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And
amazing. Congratulations.
Wow.
Thank you.
So can you speak on how social media has power over the youth nowadays?
Oh, so this is a topic that definitely always it comes up at each and every time, and it's something that I definitely think has to be addressed. And in fact, I'm partnering with the Texas American Federation of Teachers in a few weeks. I'm going to be
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to be hosting. Thank you. I'm going to be hosting a workshop called Social Secrets, what educators and parents should know, because we're going to talk about social media and how these smartphones, how these smartphones have a grip not only on the youth but adults as well. But I think that there is so much focus on just being the first to get information out, like with adults, right? You see the news stations, TMZ, they want to be the first to get the information out, right? Even if it's not accurate, they want to be the first. And I think that trickles down to our children, because I've noticed, and one of the things that I talk to young people about is, if you see a fight, if you see something that dramatic that's happening, the first thing young people do, they'll pick up their phone to record it.
Nope.
Well, really, that person could be in danger. We may need to go and get a teacher. We may need to somehow get out of the way and not even intervene, but to go get help. Or it is true, sometimes you do need someone there to record, the injustices, because as we've seen,
it happens.
It definitely happens.
Terrible.
The police brutality instances and those sorts of things. We know that if a person hadn't been there with their camera, then we may not truly know the injustice that was suffered at the hands of these, you know, these cops, right? So in those instances is very helpful. But what I always tell young people is you don't have to be the first to post. You know, if it's your friend who is in trouble, maybe we might want to offer some sort of help. And I don't mean go in and break up the fight, because you could be putting yourself in danger, but you may need to go get help, or maybe try to distract attention away from it. You may need to distract what's happening, all the chaos and the commotion. People do get hurt. So I think that sometimes, you know, we have this fear of missing out. You know, we all have experienced FOMO at some point, and the social media, it could be overwhelming. You know, there's a new social app that's coming out every day. We hear about,
right.
I can't do that. It's a full-time job.
Right.
It sure is.
And navigate through everything. I'm like, what? Now something.
Exactly. But I really want the young people to know that you don't have to be on every platform. It is not necessary. And the young people are dealing with so much right now. I don't see how they can keep up. You're dealing with virtual school, surviving the pandemic, all of the drama that, you know, young people are experiencing these days, and just trying to keep up with everything that's happening in social media and reality TV. It can be a bit much. And I think it causes a lot of overwhelm and anxiety for our children. So I think that as parents and caregivers, as well as mentors, and just caring adults, if there are young people in our lives and, you know, we get to spend time with them, whether it's virtually or in person, you know, take some time to just turn them off. Take some time to genuinely connect with one another. And that's the biggest advice that I have for parents and others who work with kids. Like, when you get time to spend with them, have a one-on-one conversation. Sometimes people don't even know that the youth in their lives may be experiencing challenges. Like, sometimes they are being bullied or cyberbullied or harassed online, but we're so busy and distracted by social media, by the news, those sorts of things, that we don't really have authentic conversations with one another. So I think that is vitally important that we do take a break from social media. Sometimes I have to program it. I'll be honest. Sometimes I have to program it into my calendar. Take a break. You know, I have to remind myself, set reminders of, you know, just being away from the screen. You know, the screen time that we have is a bit much. You know, there's way too much screen time. And I think that we can definitely support one another and holding each other accountable. Like, did you take a break today?
Right.
You know, did you take some me time today? So I think that's important that we do that for our children and our young relatives and those that we work with in the community, to make sure that there is a level of self-care. Because when you're dealing with social media, it can just be truly overwhelming. And sometimes there's so much negative energy online that it impacts their lives offline.
Yeah.
I agree. And I believe there's times where, you know, social media is hindering uniqueness and being different, because there's so much competition for the youth to, oh, I got to post it this way, or I got to get this many likes. And it's like, no, like, just learn how to embrace you and to walk in the goodness of who you are, and stop trying to be in competition or impress others. So I think social media has hindered, you know, the youth, the part of teenagers and adults of just being yourself.
Yes, and I agree with you. And what I found is that sometimes they get into danger, especially with these online challenges.
Yes.
I have to take a drink of water.
Oh, take your time. Yeah, these online challenges is crazy.
They're so crazy, especially you see a lot of them on TikTok as well, and it's just getting worse and worse. And I think, like, Like, not only that, since these kids don't have, like, depends on their family, you know, what situations that what's going on in their households, they look to social media for the acceptance and
Yes.
for
Yes.
validation, and for, you know, someone can be going through abuse at home and acting like everything's all happy, and they're happy, and, you know, posting just to get attention elsewhere because
Approval.
they're not, approval, because they're not getting the love at home. They just want followers and likes. Oh, well, this person paid me attention. But like you said as well, Rashida, it can be dangerous too.
Yeah, it could be very dangerous, especially as you mentioned, seeking validation, external validation. And that's how many of our young people do get caught up in situations that can put their lives in danger. I've noticed an increase in young people underage, teens and youth, posting on dating apps.
Wow.
I was just surprised to
Oh my
see the
goodness.
number of children. Frankly, like you're 14 years old, you're a child, and you should not be on Tinder.
Worried about men, right?
Yeah.
Right? You should not be on Tinder or Plenty of Fish. But some of our young people, that's how they are meeting these adults. And unfortunately, these predators are taking advantage of our children and their need for attention and validation. And these predators, they know this. These are people who have ill intentions, whether it's trafficking, human trafficking, sex trafficking, that sort of thing. So we definitely know that they do face these dangers. These are real dangers that they do face. And I just want youth as well as parents to be aware of this, that there are kids out there who are posting and creating accounts on these dating apps and other sites. And some of these online predators as well are using online gaming.
Wow.
To connect with young people. So I definitely advise parents or anyone who has children to just be proactive. And I don't consider it snooping. Some of these parents whose children have gone missing, I'm pretty sure they wish they snooped a little more in some cases. So we have to we have to be more proactive in what our children are doing and the things that they're engaging with online, the people that they're engaging with online. So we need to ask questions, even if they are like, "No, I don't want to talk today." No, we're going to talk today. We're
Right.
we're going to see what's happening. Parents should have their children's passwords, especially younger children. If your kids are online,
I know I do.
No, but I agree. I agree. I definitely agree. My 17-year-old be trying to play that.
Mine's is 12, but I make sure I have his passwords. And honestly, I'm proud. I'm proud that I haven't seen anything one time, but I haven't seen anything that's out of his age range. It was just him recording a video that he shouldn't have been recording. Like you said, fights, but it shows me that he's in a place where he needs to be at 12.
Yeah, exactly. And see, you wouldn't have known that if you weren't doing the proactive parenting. I think it's important. I don't think of it as snooping. So for those of you who are like, "Oh, I don't want to be a snoop," well, you're a proactive parent. That's what you are, or a proactive aunt. I don't have bio children, but I'm a proactive TT. I have a goddaughter, and I have nieces and a nephew. So I get involved. Sometimes if I see them posting something a little outrageous online, I'm still going to ask them in private. I'm not going to call them out.
Right.
Yeah. I do that too with my siblings.
That's good. So let's speak on, since you are mentoring others, let's speak on some of the drama or maybe the incidents that, teens has told you what they're going through. And so as parents, as neighbors, as the community, could you give us some examples and then how we can actually help them, or, you know, what they're going through? Because I'm a parent, you know, I don't really know. So I like to get that information from you since you're more hands-on with things.
Yeah, so there are a plethora of challenges that our young people face. 21st century teens are facing societal pressures as well as cyberbullying, those sorts of challenges. But often, sometimes young people are facing challenges even at home. I found that often when young people are acting out with a bullying or the mean behavior, being aggressive in the classroom or being disruptive, uh, sometimes is because they may be facing some sort of drama or issues or challenges at home. Um, I facilitate a workshop for Empowered Flower Girl called Chica Chat.
Okay.
And we have a discussion on, you know, why girls are acting out in the way that they are, when they're teasing and bullying each other, excluding one another. And often what we find is, of course, hurt people hurt people. And when we get down, when we really get down to what is beneath the surface, we find that most of the time they're having some issues either within themselves, some self-esteem issues, or there may have been a problem at home, like a divorce. One girl, she admitted during the Chica Chat workshop, this was some years ago, but for me, I found it very, very powerful that she was able to, we created a safe space for her to be able to do so, but she was able to share that, you know, she realized that sometimes she would come to school with an attitude and just angry, mad at the world because her brother was incarcerated. Her brother was incarcerated for a few years, and he had just been released from prison and come back home, and it was a bit traumatic for her because she hadn't seen him in a while, but at the same time also he was all of a sudden getting all of the attention, and she felt ignored. And she said that she was having some challenges around that. And so that was something that, you know, I would have never thought. You know, here it is, this girl, you know, she was excited to see her brother. He had been locked up for a while, but at the same time, she felt ignored. She felt that her needs weren't being addressed and her feelings weren't being addressed by her family. So she took it out on classmates and teachers. And by the end of the day, she apologized for her behavior, but her classmates, it was so touching. They offered support for her. Because many of the students didn't know what she was going through. And oftentimes that, I believe that's what allows us to sometimes bully people, harass people, to just not care and have so much apathy because we don't truly know one another. And that is definitely the case for our young people. Sometimes the disconnect is there. And they're more likely to have the apathy and to be mean to one another because they don't truly know what's going on. They don't know that, you know, their classmate has just become homeless. You know, that happens. You know, they're experiencing trauma, illness, or death in the family. They don't know that those things are compounded along with, you know, just the academic pressures of school, and the social pressures. So we all, no matter who we are, we're going to experience some drama. I mean, as I speak and communicate with you all today, I've told a few friends this and a few family members, but the drama for me this week is that I was recently diagnosed with COVID, and I'm trying to get through life and to do my work and help my clients and even, you know, help myself and be a good pet parent. You know, my cat, I'm trying, I have a cat here and I'm trying not to give him COVID.
Oh, right.
You know, there's drama in all of our lives, and we have to keep pushing through. But as I mentioned before, it is so important that we have supportive people in our lives, no matter if we're going through the illnesses or the drama at work. For many of us who are adults, we may have some coworkers that just push our nerves.
Oh my goodness.
We all
I
do.
know.
I'm sure we all do.
Right? We may have some significant others that just, if one more time, or, we may have family and even friends sometimes that
teachers. I'm sure they have teachers that's
teachers. Yes, definitely. Just all of these things that we face, this drama that we face in life. But if we can be there for one another and support one another, and sometimes not to be so hard on ourselves. But sometimes we're a little too hard on ourselves, right? Like me today, I was like freaking out. I'm like, I got to get it together. Oh, I have to put on my makeup. I'm sick over here, coughing with COVID. And I'm just like, okay, Rashida, relax. Is this going to be okay? You're going to get through this. And you all were, even you all were just so supportive. And so I appreciate that. And that's why I really love what you're doing. You're creating this global network of women that are connected, that uplift and support one another. So I definitely appreciate that. And I want that for our girls and young women. And that's why I'm such a huge proponent of sisterhood and helping girls and young women to realize that unity is where it's at. I mean,
right.
if you have a good vibe tribe, there is so much that you can do. Get rid of that drama, stop the cat fights, stop the jealousy and the hateration. We have to support one another and look at each other as collaborators instead of competition.
Preach, girl, preach. Yes.
Right. Go ahead, girl.
Go ahead, keep going.
Don't stop. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. So it's interesting. When we talk about sisterhood, with Empowered Flower Girl, I recently hosted Empowering Conversations. It was a conversation that we had over 2 days with women from all walks of life, women who were therapists, who were teachers, who were just amazing spirits, right? These women who, some of them I had never met before. And when we had our discussions, it just flowed. We just gelled like we have been knowing each other forever. And I think sometimes women miss out because we don't give each other a chance. We could be missing out on some amazing connections, but sometimes I think, we overthink things, or maybe sometimes we think, okay, I'm going to be judged. And I think we can do a better job of creating a safe space for one another that, we may have our differences, or maybe we may not see eye to eye on everything, but there is room and opportunity for us to grow and to support one another.
Yeah.
And I really want that for our girls. It breaks my heart sometimes to hear girls say, I can't trust other girls. You can't trust girls. They're all, catty, they're drama queens. And I want us to really transform that.
Yeah. Definitely, you do see a lot of that. I did volunteer work with young girls, 14 to 16 for like a year. And that's all you've seen. It was just, I feel like you guys need to be together, empower one another. Oh, well, I don't like her. And I said, why? Oh, well, because I just don't. That's not a real good reason to not like somebody. You have to have a reason. Did she do something to you? Did she say something to you? Did she offend you? She didn't have no excuse. I was like, that's an excuse. You're just trying to find a reason because you just want to be a follower. I was like, be who you are. And it's a lot. These kids now do have it so hard. It's really hard for them.
Yeah, they do. And I think what really helps in terms of having support from their community is having adults in their lives who have some, what I call intergenerational empathy. And I love that you said that they do have it hard, because some parents and other adults, they may say, oh, they have it so easy. These kids, they don't.
They have it hard.
You hear the parents say, oh, I had to walk 10 miles in the snow up a hill, all of that, right? And I'm thinking to myself, really? Did you really have to do that? And if you did, maybe your parents are feeling the way that you're feeling about your kids, because they thought, well, you had to walk 10 miles. I had to walk 20.
a mile,
So we need more intergenerational empathy and understanding, because while we may think that, okay, the technology makes it so easy for them, they don't have the Dewey Decimal System, they don't have to go to the library, they can Google it, right? But this technology, as we have discussed and talked about, comes with a lot of challenges, right? Like the cyberbullying, the cyber stalkers, and the cyber thieves, right? So there's a lot of responsibility that young people need to have at such a young age, right? Even just engaging online. But also we have to really think about, especially like Generation Z and the generation after them, Generation Alpha, like they grew up right around, one of our nation's um, most tragic events, outside of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery and Jim Crow, right? There's so much that we face in the 21st century, like 9/11 and the threat of domestic terrorism, police brutality, all of these things.
They're going through a lot, right?
Yeah, all of these things that our young people are seeing, right? And the things that are impacting them. And we should definitely have empathy. And the pandemic has really transformed their lives. They don't get they
interact. You're right.
Interact. Yeah. Right. They don't get to experience a normal childhood. Proms have been canceled. Sporting events, and sporting events canceled. Things that we all looked forward to as young people, they suddenly had to just give up. And it was like, I'm sorry, it won't happen for you. So I think if we have more empathy and an understanding, we can really connect and engage with the young people in our lives more. And it just takes judgment-free listening. We just need to listen to them. Take some time. Again, what I say earlier, we have to put away these every now and then. We got to put this away, put it down, and say, let's talk.
Yep, I
That's
agree.
Good.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have anything that you would like to share that will help the youth or women? What would it be?
So I would definitely recommend that we all take some time, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. I mean, I would recommend more, but even if it's just 10 minutes a day, to give gratitude and really recognize ourselves. Oftentimes we are so focused on what we didn't do, what we didn't accomplish, who we weren't for that day. But we rarely take some time to say, you know what, I did the darn thing. Giving gratitude for the things that we have in our lives, but also giving gratitude to ourselves and being thankful for allowing ourselves to just be. And I think that if we do more of that, we will be more likely, to do that for one another. I think self-care starts, of course, within, but then the more we take care of ourselves, the more we're able to help others and to spread those positive vibes. I say, positive vibes only. But if you're so fixated on breaking yourself down or always criticizing yourself, you're going to have challenges, and also connecting with other people, right? So I know it may be easier said than done, but I think we definitely need to take some time to focus on ourselves and give appreciation to the things that we've accomplished. I know sometimes it'll be almost a whole year before I look at some things that I've accomplished, right? I'll be looking at, oh man, I didn't get this done, looking at my to-do list and see all these bullets that still need to be done. But I have said, you know what, I'm going to take more time to recognize the things that I have achieved and give myself credit for those. So I think we should definitely do that for ourselves, but also for each other, recognizing our sisters, recognizing adults, recognizing the youth in our lives. At Empowered Flower Girl, we have this column in our Be Empowered newsletter. It's called She's Empowered. And we recognize girls and young women ages 5 to 25 who are making a difference in their communities, whether they're social entrepreneurs or they started a nonprofit or a project in their school. We've interviewed young authors, those who started do-good organizations to empower other youth to give back through service. I've had an opportunity to interview so many amazing girls and young women, and I just want to continue to recognize them for the things that they're doing, because often we hear negative news about our young people, and that can be overwhelming, turning on the news to see all these negative stories. But I always love to read about young people who are achieving their dreams and encouraging others, sharing their gifts and talents with the world. And that's what I want to continue to do with Empowered Flower Girls. So we definitely recommend, if there are any young people out there or those who work with youth, who know of any girls, again, 5 to 25, who are out there in their communities, making a difference, sharing their talents. We want to hear about them, and we definitely encourage you to reach out to us. You can email me, rkamaria@empoweredflowergirl.com, or just make sure you follow our social media channels, and I post information about how you could submit girls for She's Empowered.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
I love it. Besides your childhood, what inspires you? Where does your inspiration come from? Besides obviously helping and mentoring women and young adults and hearing their stories, is there any other place that you get your inspiration from?
Yes. So oftentimes people will take, they'll take forever to figure out, and this is not a judgment, but sometimes they'll take forever to really step out there and do what they're led and called to do. And I want to help people to recognize that and have the courage and confidence to say, I'm great, and this is the purpose that I've created for myself, that I've co-created with God, the difference that I want to make. Sometimes I think we forget where we come from. We forget that we are creators as well. And I want to remind people that you are a creator. The Creator created you, so therefore you are. And I just want to remind people of that, and that we can go out here and make a difference. And it is not a question of, well, who am I to do it? My thing is, who are you not to?
Right.
The world is waiting on you. There's some person who probably isn't even born yet, who is just waiting on you to step into your greatness so that you can transform their lives. Okay. So I always tell people, hey, if you are having a hard time, if you are not confident that you can do it, just remember whose you are and where you come from.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your story and educating us. And we always have this one question we ask our guest speaker: what makes you uncommon?
I love that question. That is actually really cool. And I thought about that earlier. I was like, well, what makes me uncommon? Because I was thinking to myself, well, when I was in middle school, there was a lot that made me uncommon, things that made me uncommon that I thought just really, were common, right? But I think what makes me uncommon is the fact that I am a person who dares to be different. And it's not a matter of, oh, I'm being different for the sake of being different. It's just that I know that the things that God has blessed me with, and those unique gifts that I've been given, that I may have been teased about, that I may have been bullied and harassed every day about, I know that those are the things that will lead me into my greatness and the difference that I'm going to make for other people in my community and potentially the world. So I think what makes me uncommon is that, I dare to be uncommon, and it's cool. I actually think it's cool to be uncommon. I'm all about embracing my weirdness and uniqueness and encourage others to do so. So again, that's why I gravitated toward you ladies and what you're doing. And I just love it and appreciate this opportunity to be a part of the podcast.
Hey, if you're weird, I'm weird too. Because I'm like, I don't see no weirdness in her.
I think everybody's kind of weird in their own unique way.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we all special. We all special.
Right. You're weird if you're not weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much again, Rashida, and for what you're doing and impacting these young girls. And just thank you so much for coming on. And thank you to our listeners for joining in. I want to speak on our apparel. You guys should check that out at www.uncommonwomen.net. Also, do not forget to follow us and subscribe on YouTube. And to be a guest speaker, visit our website, again, www.uncommonwomen.net. And next week, April 1st, we are having another guest speaker, and she will be speaking on awareness on sepsis at 7 p.m. Eastern. Check us out and stay uncommon.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you so much.